through the KDF and in conjunction with the Wajir County government to Wajir County. Infrastructure restoration is being implemented following damage caused by rains. The works on the following roads and bridges have been repaired. One, Bogolo Bridge on the Mtwapa Malindi Road has been repaired. Jilango Center on the Nuno Modogashe Road has been repaired. Madade Center on the Wajir Mandera Road has been repaired. Ohio Center on the Nuno Modogashe Road has also been repaired. Karbakole in Mandera, they call it end of the tarmac there, has been repaired. And the Garissa airstrip has also been repaired, and commercial flights will resume tomorrow. And of course, it will really go a long way in coordinating relief efforts. Ongoing works to be completed by tomorrow, Tuesday 28th, include repairs at Malim Tokbub on the Nuno Modogashe Road and Kotulo, Mandera on the Wajir Mandera Road. The works in progress include Tula on the Thika Garissa Road, Ared on the Thika Garissa Road also, and Moyale to Ramu Road in Mandera through Bute in Wajir. To fortify the national response, the Cabinet sanctioned the following additional interventions. One, scaling up the scope of humanitarian assistance to reach more than 50,000 households, especially in the arid and semi-arid counties. The Cabinet also observed that to support county governments in addressing the disaster situations in their respective areas, the National Treasury last week disbursed 10 billion shillings of their shareable revenue. Cabinet also directed the National Treasury to release an additional 10 billion shillings to county governments this week, again, part of their shareable revenue. And of course, the government is encouraging the counties, as much as it's part of the shareable revenue, government is encouraging counties to try and reallocate some of these funds to the dire situation now occasioned by these floods. The government also directed the enhanced deployment of the KDF and all public civilian aircraft to transport medical supplies, food and non-food items for targeted distribution as recommended. It also sanctioned a proposal to be sent to Parliament for the replenishment of the contingencies fund and the rationalization of the budget and supplementary appropriations too of the current financial year. Cabinet also directed the National Treasury to further rationalize the current budget and direct ministries, departments and agencies, that is MDAs, to commence reallocation of funds in their budgets to support the emergency response being undertaken by the state. Scaling up of rapid response to rehabilitate dilapidated road networks and facilitate delivery of humanitarian assistance to the affected populations will also be done. And Cabinet also sanctioned the distribution of over 150,000 mosquito nets to the affected counties. That is already happening. Cabinet also directed the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, in consultation with all agencies within the sector, to give priority to maximum production, uptake and distribution of hydro-generated. It further directed the Ministry of Energy to pass the benefit of lower electricity tariffs to the public in a manner that promotes the increased use of hydro-generated power, which has presently increased to 20%, while diesel has gone down from 15 to 10%. Cabinet also committed the coordination of all state efforts to the National Disaster Operations Center, which will coordinate all relief activities by activating the whole of government approach, thus ensuring efficient deployment of resources and enhanced communication among relevant government agencies and humanitarian organizations. An ad hoc cabinet committee was also established on disaster response under the leadership of His Excellency the Deputy President to coordinate the state response. Through the National Disaster Operations Center, the government will continue to provide regular updates on the progress of our relief efforts, and the center shall work closely with the media in disseminating accurate and timely information to the public. The emergency session of Cabinet today, or the special session of Cabinet, concluded by reassuring all Kenyans that the government is doing everything within its power to return the situation to normalcy within the earliest time possible. Cabinet also urged all Kenyans to prioritize safety during their travel in this period, as well as at their homes and workplaces. All Kenyans should exercise patience and caution while traveling, wait for storm waters to subside before attempting to cross roads, report any instances of flooding or landslides to the authorities, and strictly follow all guidelines issued by government. Thank you very much. I'll take a few questions I will kindly request you to restrict them as much as possible to the cabinet resolutions. Yes.
My name is Giverson Minor from Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. My question is, the 10 billion Kenya shillings you're saying has been distributed, or rather, reimbursed to the counties.
Shareable revenue, yes.
Shareable revenue. Is it the normal shareable revenue, or does it consist, the fund you're talking about, to, that will cater for the emergency as a result of the El Nino?
Okay. The 10 billion shillings, 10 billion, so it's 20 billion in total. 10 billion was released last week. Another 10 billion Treasury has been directed to release today, by the end of this week, hopefully by Thursday. But again, the government can only encourage. And as I said, government is working with county governments in this response, because we are serving the same people at the end of the day. The situation is in Kenya and beyond, but as far as Kenya is concerned, we are all serving the same citizen. So we are working together with counties, and this is part of their shareable revenue. But we are encouraging, the government is encouraging counties to try and set aside some money, to reallocate some money to the alleviating the problem, the current problem.
All right. Sydney Chazima from NTV. My question goes to the utterances by the head of state. Mm-hmm. A few months ago, he said that the threat of El Nino has been downscaled. Yesterday, speaking in Roysambu, he said that some people had mocked him when he prayed for the rains sometime back in the year, and that the country is experiencing rains that it has never experienced before. Now, today he has held a cabinet meeting to find and provide solutions and mitigating interventions to this issue at a time when over 70,000 people have lost their lives. So is this...
70.
70.
Not 70,000.
Okay, 70.
Yeah.
So is this an unverbal admission from the head of state that maybe the warning from the Met Department should have been taken seriously before, and these measures been put in place before the loss of lives?
Okay. The warning from the Met Department was taken seriously, and that is why he was the first person to pronounce himself on the matter. Okay? So they classified this as an El Nino phenomenon. The rains as a result of an El Nino phenomenon, and there was a warning. The same Met downgraded. So the president was speaking from information from Met. Downgraded, and then the president communicated. Now it has happened, and of course prediction of weather patterns is not a precise science. We all know that. And several places in the world have got it wrong. Okay? But the most important thing now is to deal with the situation at hand. And when the president says he prayed, he was being mocked, or some in government are being mocked for praying for rains. There are some, as much as we are seeing problems, and the government will do and is doing, as I have enumerated, all it can to alleviate the situation, we also have to agree that the rains in some parts of the country are beneficial. We're talking about a milk glut, and that farmers now, KCC has been given 500 million shillings so that they can take this milk from farmers. That is something positive. You're talking about hydro-generated power, and tariffs now will be lowered for the consumer. That is something positive. So it has a positive and negative side. Yeah? But all in all, the president was briefed about El Nino phenomenon. It was downgraded by the same Met Department, and afterwards, of course, they escalated it back to El Nino. Yes, Afande, my friend. Oh, okay, Brenda, sorry.
It's okay.
And you're both from the same, so maybe one can take for both.
Okay, I'll ask mine. I don't know what.
Yeah, it's okay. No problem. I'm joking.
Yeah, I just need a bit of clarity, Hussein. At the beginning of this statement, you talked about some 7 billion shillings. Then you mentioned about the extra 20 billion shillings. So perhaps just give us clarity.
Extra 20 billion?
10 and 10.
Yeah.
So the 7 and 10 and 10.
Yeah.
So clarity on that. Let me just finish this question. So clarity on that. And then there seems to be the semblance of a delayed response from government from the start of this El Nino rains, something my colleague has alluded to there. We have, I think we're in the third or fourth week of the El Nino rains. People have died, and there has been a lot of disconcerted response from government, both from national, at the executive level, county level. What do you think that happened, and what lessons do you think perhaps the executive can take from what has happened here? just why that delayed response. And also the numbers they're giving us of the dead people, from our own calculations as a media house, we actually have a number higher than that because we have been keeping tabs since the reports of the deaths have been coming in. You're telling us it's a 76, but our numbers are reaching close to 90. Perhaps you can also respond to that.
Okay. So those are 3 questions. So number one, government, of course, relies on in its system, and it's a well-established system, to categorize disasters once they happen. And that is why I said we are at an alarm stage and not in all counties. So the response has been okay. And that is why the President spoke on Saturday after seeing an escalation of the rainfall, of course, and floods and the devastation in some of these counties. And that is why a special cabinet meeting was held and these measures have been put. And there's a response going on the ground. Again, government has its own established protocols, and information is relayed about the people who lost their lives or people who are affected. And again, we condole with all the bereaved families because of what has happened. But those are the figures we're getting as government from our own people or from our own government officers on the ground. The third question was? Yeah, the amounts. No, there's no discrepancy there. 7 billion is contingencies fund, okay, that is supposed to cater for this. So government has, and cabinet today, as I said, has talked about those funds and how they will be used to coordinate relief efforts. And, of course, is asking Parliament again to replenish that amount. 10 billion last week, 10 billion this week. It has to do with shareable revenue to counties. It's not about the contingency funds. I hope that answers it, Brenda. Yeah? Afande.
Kwa jina naitwa Vincent Afande, a radio journalist for Radio Citizen. Maswali mingi yale nilikuwa nataka kuuliza, mwenzangu ashauliza, lakini sasa wacha nikuulize hivi. County ya Busia inajongelea athari kubwa kutokana na El Nino, hasa sehemu za Badalangi. Pengine katika baraza la mawaziri wa asubuhi ya leo, swala hilo liweza kuibuka katika mkutano huo, ama mnasubiri kuona maafa ndio mwanze kuchukua hatua katika kaunti ya Busia?
Okay, Afande, siamini yule Afande najua ndo ameniuliza swali kama hiyo. Afande, I think tumeongea kuhusu counties ambazo zimeathirika na tumezitaja, na nimesema among hizi counties 38 Busia ni mojawapo. Okay? Na pia niliongelea kuhusu counties ambazo zimeathirika zaidi. So Busia iko kwenye orodha na pia inashughulikiwa kama counties zingine zote. Afande. Yeah? Okay? Last one maybe.
My name is Mike from TV47. I wanted a bit of clarification from the 7 billion shillings. Is it in addition to the 2.4 billion shillings?
It's part of it.
Released last week. Mm-hmm. And is it going to be shared to counties or it's national government dealing with it?
As I said, that is part of the contingency fund. Okay? So it's actually provided for in the Constitution as well. It has nothing to do with counties. Part of the contingency fund. So 2.4 billion that went to ASALS, Department of ASALS, Arid and Semi-Arid, for food and non-food items is part of the 7 billion contingency fund that now we are asking, or government is asking Parliament to replenish. Okay? Last one here.
My name is Kevin Cheriot from Daily Nation. Going by your statement, you've said that 38 counties have been affected. And don't you think that the government has taken long? Maybe it should declare the ongoing El Nino as a state of emergency.
Yeah. Okay. That, of course, was also part of the discussions in Cabinet. And, of course, the decision to call something or declare a national disaster is based on data on the ground. The data that has been assessed on the ground, as I said, only puts this so far at an alarming stage. And as I said, there's a National Disaster Operations Center that is up and running. It will be based in Nyaya House under the Ministry of Interior. They are assessing by the minute data from the ground and whether there is need to escalate this beyond where it is right now. Yeah? So we have a situation, it's alarming. After the alarm stage, if things get out of hand, if things get worse, then, of course, the government will decide then whether, based on the data on the ground, it's time to call it a disaster. But for now, it is not. Okay, thank you very much. Nashukuru sana. Yeah.
The government has been asking people who are living close to areas that are prone to landslides, flooding, even the dams, to actually move to higher ground. But some of them are resisting. What can the government do, or what is the government doing beyond just asking them to move? Is there plans, or there are plans to actually have them, forcefully move to safety?
Again, Brenda, that is based on how the situation will be assessed. For example, the Ministry of Energy, which is also will be part of the National Disaster Operations Center, will assess the dams in the country, the key dams, and whether we'll have a spillover, and what that will have, the effect that will have downstream, and whether we'll get to a point where people will now have to be moved. But for now, it is caution, and the government has, as I said in the statement, is urging the members of the public to cooperate and listen to the advice they are given, so that we avoid any further devastation. Yeah? Thank you so much, Nashukuru.
Nyakora moga juang mago chenro mabiro ni bena achiel ka wuoke kar jot mano mar jatend piny Kenya, kama bende wayudo kanyo twak mabende okel koda jaloso lo kar jot mar jatend piny Kenya, mano Hussein Mohamed, mabende ne twak kanyo kod jofwambo mopogore opogore kar kanyo, jofwambo mar Walter Nyambaga nitie kar kanyo, kod jofwambo mamoko mawuoke kuonde fwambo mamoko mabende nyaka sani nyakora moga juang gino mayangore nitie gik mathoth ahinya mabende nyaka sani nyakora moga juang osebedo kanyo ka iluwo. Achiel kuom gigo mabende olose kanyo owacho ni sani kama piny Kenya kochopo korka wechego mago mag ritruok e kinde ma pioula medo rocho chenro mopogore opogore pacho kae imedo luwe yo moro makare, kendo Hussein Mohamed olero kar kanyo mano luwo romo mabende ne obagi mano romo moyiedhi okinyi ma kawuono kar jot ma jatend piny Kenya mano kelo kanyakla jotend migepe duto mondo mi gitwagane kaka ginyalo reso midhiero, ginyalo reso jo Kenya kaluwore kod midhiero. Weche mantie nyaka sani nyakora moga juang gin wechego mag chwalo chiemb kony, mag chwalo yedhe, mag loso apeini mokethore, mag loso alap mag ndeke mabende okethore. Mamagi bende osebedo kata kosechak tim e kaunti ma Wajir kod mano bende mar Mandera, ma nyaka sani wacho ni weche mag chiemo kaachiel koda ka chwalo wechego mag yedhe kata mag thieth, mano kae wacho ni medical supplies mabende romo kacha $180,000 bende osechwal ne jogo moseyudo masira machalo kamano. Kamachalo bende nitiere wechego ma igeno ni dhi bedo ka chopo ne oganda kaachiel koda ka resruok kod kony madhi bedo ka chopo ne anyuola kata jogo mantie udi madirom kacha 150,000 mano kaluwore kod weche man kae. Jo Kenya bende medo mana jiw e kindegi makoth medo chwe pacho ka kaluwore kod twak mochiw kod jaloso lo kar jot ma jatend piny Kenya Hussein Mohamed olero kar kanyo ni jo Kenya ikwayo mondo mi obed akicha ahinya e kinde makoth medo chwe. Ka omedo wacho kar kanyo ni sani gimantiere en ni onego bed ni ing'iyo malong'o wechego mag wuoth. Ka iwuotho kinde ma riembo nyamburko mari, ka ing'ado go lalo moro to pi obedo mang'eny, onego irite nyaka pigno dog piny eka ok ikali. To mano ok dhi ne jok matiyo gi nyamburko kende, kata jogo mawuotho kantiere kar kacha. Kamachielo bende nitiere nede mago mag mosquito kata mag suna, nede mag suna maromo 150,000 mabende koro oseke gwenge ma oting'o mago kuonde ma thoro yudo tuono mar malaria, mabende nyaka sani nyakora moga juang kaka wang'eyo gin gwenge mantiere ka dho wath mano mar nam Lolwe kod mago bende mantie ka dho wath nam Chumbi. Mae kod mathoth jafwambo mar Walter Nyambaga ntiere kar kanyo mondo miang' oluwa ne weche mopogore opogore moting'o mago mag keyo teko sitima. Achiel kuom gigo mabende olosi odiochieng' ma kawuono, nitiere komiti ma oselosi wiye kanyo mondo mi orangane ni ere kaka inyalo chwal kony ma kamagi ne jo Kenya e kinde ma gigi duto bende dhi nyime. Kamachielo bende nitiere omenda monego bed ni koro ichwalo ne oganda mondo mi okonygi. Magi maromo nade? Nitiere bilion maromo kanyo 10 mondo mi warangane kanyo ka ginyalo bedo ka ichwalogi kuonde mopogore opogore. Awakeli mago mathoth e weche manyien mag rameny piny odiochieng' ma kawuono kaachiel koda ka mano mar oimore. Arwakni machiegni chenro mago mantiere sani en mago mag weche manyien mago mag kagi kacha mabende wakelni sani nyakora moga juang ka koro nyaka sani bende nyakora mondo jwanga wakoni ni gin magi mosebedo kata kwaluni are ukinyi ma kawuono ma nyaka sani koro wakelni mago bende motenore kod wechego mago mag masira mabiro kaluwore kod koth mamedo goyo gwenge ma opogore opogore. Familia ma ok tin ne 200 odare miechgi mano bang' koth mapek mano marauka. Yamo bende ne ochwe otieno ma piny orugodo kawuono ketho utegi mago e gwenge malambwe. Aora malambwe mano ma nowuore mano ka oketho ute kendo rocho yore mag wuoth mago mag apaya ka ochomo sindo kochomo Homa Bay. Jodak kwayo piny owacho mondo miyo okonygi yudo kuonde jot kod chiemo. Gavana kaunti ma Homa Bay Gladys Wanga okwayo piny owacho mondo miyo chwalane kony ne counties ma midhiero mag oula okwako ka nitiere dwaro mar tiyo kanyakla e kind piny owacho mamalo kod mago mag counties.
Imeingia kwa manyumba ya watu, imevamia watu, makuki imeenda, mahindi imeenda, kila kitu imeenda. Kwa hivyo watu wanahangaika hapa Lambwe. Kwa hivyo tunaomba usaidizi kutoka kwa serikali kuu ama county government ili atuje atusaidie.
I think it is the first time we are experiencing such a thing in the area. Even though it has been happening, but for such, it is for the first time such. So we are appealing to well wishers to help us, to help the guys, the victims. I think there are so many. Some are about to be captured. There are so many.
We have begun our response. We have attended to several families that were affected the last week, but this situation is intensifying, and therefore we are looking at how do we put together more resources to respond to our people. The situation in Karachuonyo, in Homa Bay Town, in Kochia, in Dewa, even heavy winds are also sweeping our people. So this is a terrible situation. What I'd like to advise is this response must be done in partnership. These counties cannot carry this response alone. We are doing our best, but our resources are pretty limited. So we are asking for the national government support, development partners support. And when we ask for national government support, we are not saying that we are doing nothing. We are mopping up whatever resources we can get to make a response. But we are also asking our development partners, the national government, please come in so that we can pull this. This is not something that everybody will respond separately. We need to respond jointly as a team. And I will also pass my deepest sympathies with those who are affected day after day. And I want to tell them that help is on the way.
Weche mago ulapodi jodak gwenge ma Ngarimara mayudore county ma Isiolo kore kwayo medo kwayo kony kaluwore kod oula ma omomore makoro bende osekelo negi lal mathoth. Moloyo udi 1,000 gweng ma Ngarimara mag jodak ni kamarach kaluwore kod oula. Familia mathoth kod sikunde bende osekwano lal mag koth mathoth mago mag El Nino. Tend County kod migao no mano marakruok kod midhiero mag ngaji kod oula kata kamano temo chwalo kony ne kata jogo magiwacho kanyo ni kata kony makamago pokoromo.
Najua gavana wetu ameangana kiwango ile anaweza. Ameangana kwa serikali ya juu, ameangana county government, ameleta chakula, ameleta blanketi, ametuletea jana mpaka hata chakula kidogo mboga ambayo watoto walilala jana usiku. Lakini sasa ile chakula ambayo imekuja kwa leo, wale wananchi wamejitokeza ni watu wengi na watu wote wako na njaa mpaka unashindwa utampatia nani utaacha nani. Kwa hivyo tungeomba tu serikali ya national pamoja na county government washirikiane ili tuokoe maisha ya watu wetu.
Hii maji imetoka mbali. Harufu ya maji yenyewe ukunuza hivi mara unakoa mara unanyamaza unakata pumzi. Hatujui ni madhara gani kwa ndani. Kwa hivyo ugonjwa bado unafuata piriko. Watu watapata shida. Umbu naye imeingia ya kutosha. Ile maji wanakunywa ni ya kutoka mbali. Kila sumu iko ya kutosha. Kwa hivyo maneti tunataka wengi na tunataka kuhamisha watu watoke kwa barabara waende kwa mlima kidogo. Nataka hema kujifunika kitu kama hiyo.
Zingine zitakuja. Pia nataka kuchukua hii fursa kushukuru wale non-government organizations ambazo wametusaidia so far. Kama Red Cross wametusaidia, ACF, World Vision pia watakuja na pia Action Aid leo I think watakuja, walituahidi hivyo. So kama serikali tutaacha watu wetu wakati wa mkasa, lakini pia ningependa kuchukua hii fursa kuomba watu wetu wananchi wa Isiolo pia wa take caution ile kujihadhari ndio mtu asipate hii shida.
Aya nyakura magijwangi report no emangkelo egiko kanyo kata kamano ntie weche mathoth mapontiere kar kae mana wach mantie kaluore kod mago mowuok e ka jot majaten piny Kenya wacho kar kanyo ni nitiere gigo mabende ten migao mopogore opogore kotene kod kanyo kod jaten piny Kenya mabende obagoro modiochieng' makawuono ong'ado kanyo ni nitiere bilion 7 monego bedni koro imanyo mondo mi oranga nere kaka inyalo ked kod piola mabende kelo midhiero mopogore opogore kaachiel koda ka counties 38 mabende koro nitiere stage miluongo kanyo ni alarm stage mano kama koro giwacho ni gin monego bedni irango genya kotenore kod koth mamedo chwe mano mar El Nino ka ji mosewito ngimagi kaluwore kod koth El Nino chopo kacha 76 jogo mabende osedar e miechgi romo 30,000 nyaka sani nyakura mogijwang' kelni mathoth e weche manyien med kede kar ka nyakura mogijwang' na kelo ni weche manyien e kidieny mar kagi kacha nyinga Cleophas Oluoch jakisumo ka nyakwar mokew nyaka sango oriti masani.